What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So I got one here by Jessica Lee in my Korean series, and yeah, she goes to the Korean War Museum in Yongsan. So this is kind of near Itaewon, and I've been to this museum quite a few times. So we're gonna go over this video, and yeah, she's gonna talk about the Filipinos who sacrificed themselves for Korea. So let's get into this and shout out to Jessica Lee.
Very few number of Filipinos had to fight like a bunch of Chinese soldiers. Ang Pilipinas ang unang bansa sa there are comfort women in the Philippines too. Hey guys, Jessica here. Today is June 6th, which is the Hyunchingen or Memorial Day of Korea. So to commemorate that day, me and Sylvia came to the 전쟁 기념관 here in Yongsan. The reason why I'm here is to show you guys like a brief history or a tour of this museum or exhibit. As one of the most important or major events in Korea was the Korean War, and during that Korean War there's so many soldiers who sacrificed themselves to fight for the country, and among them there were UN soldiers, and a part of them was Filipino soldiers. So we also wanted to check out that portion in this museum to share with you guys. So let's go ahead. So this is the entrance to the museum. So it's very, very spacious. So you can find like all the information on the Korean history in this museum, specifically about the Korean War. In Korean history, as you guys might know, we were colonized by Japan. Japan is the only country that has colonized us. That's why that 35 years in the Korean history, many people pick that as the most traumatic moment, because that was the only time the whole flow of our history and culture ceased. And then right after we earned independence from Japan, through the sacrifice of all the other heroes, the Korean War happened.
Okay, going back to the occupation of Japan, that was from 1910 to 1945. Because why is 1945 significant? Because yeah, that's where the U.S. won the Battle of Midway and all this stuff, and then yeah, Japan had to surrender. So no longer we were going to be under occupation of Japan. So now we're going to get right into the Korean War 5 years later, and let's continue.
That is also the time when the UN troop of soldiers were also dispatched to Korea to help the Korean War. For South Korea specifically, there were like a list of countries, and among them was the Filipinos. That's why there's a really, really famous Battle of Yultong, where like very few number of Filipinos had to fight like a bunch of Chinese soldiers. 저기 필리핀 국기 있다. So I think this is the UN. It extends all the... 여기. Whoa. May they forever be remembered. Long live the Filipino soldier. Mabuhay, mabuhay. Ang Pilipinas ang unang bansa sa Asia. Because the Filipinos were one of the very first soldiers. Were dispatched. So I know this part of history because I already made a video on it, more specifically where I went to the Philippine War Memorial site in Ilsan. I'm thankful that the Korean government is being grateful and expressing their thanks to everyone who shed blood for our country. 여기 나오네. 율동. 진짜 이런 전쟁에 대해 볼 때 항상 생각하는 거는 진짜 우리가 저때 태어났으면 어땠을까? 맞아. 지금은 상상도 내가 거기 다른 나라 나 이름 알지도 못하는 나라에 불려가지고 맞아. 난 더운 나라 국가인데 갑자기 추운 데 가가지고 다른 사람들 위해 막 희생하고 이게 진짜
Oh yeah, going back, the Filipinos, they were not asked to come. They gladly just volunteered and sent the troops. They just came on their own accord. They weren't asked like, please come. They went just on their own accord again, and they went and fought. So here we go, and let's take a look some more.
This is the Memorial Hall. So here you can see the overall history on how the Korean War happened. It began not so long after the Pearl Harbor. 1953, the truce began until now. Yeah, so Korea is actually still on truce formally, right? The overall, the military force were highly behind. These are the murals of the people, refugees.
서울이 불과 몇십 년 전만 해도 이랬다는데 한강의 기적이라는 말이 있듯이
한강의 기적?
그런 말이 있는데 한국이 너무 빨리 발전하고 그렇게 빠르게 전쟁 국가에서 3대 국으로 발전할 수 있었던 기적을 말하는
So if you think about it, this whole Korean War is not so far away. Like our grandparents.
Yeah, grandparents' generation, yeah. Because my grandma, my mom's side grandma, her younger brother passed away from the war. Seriously, yeah.
Also, I can notice that my grandma uses a lot of Japanese words.
Oh, same. Same.
My grandma is just
okay.
so close to me,
Right?
but then I can feel how different her time and my time was.
Right.
And also, my grandfather is a war orphan.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think we really think of like history, education very, very importantly because it's very not far from us.
True.
Even if we did not experience it, we kind of get constantly reminded of the pain and the suffering and then the sacrifice. For the Filipinos, I also have a few friends of mine in the Philippines whose like mom passed away during the Japanese occupation.
가슴으로 낳아도
Yeah.
똑같더라고요 결국에는
See,
오히려
I'm
아이들한테
in
감동을 받을 때가 더 많아요.
Korea.
Era in the Philippines. There are comfort women in the Philippines too.
Like, it's really interesting. Like, Moy, Jessica, me, like, always, like, hanging out in Han River. Like, everything looks peaceful. But behind that peace, there were so many things we went through.
Right. MacArthur 알지? For some people, he's a hero. For some people, no.
Yeah.
For Koreans,
For Koreans, he's a hero.
for many Filipinos, he's also perceived as a hero, but
But it's controversial.
it's controversial.
For those who know history, like, so much in detail.
Deeply,
Yeah.
he's not a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, 맞아.
Yeah, going back to MacArthur, I actually went to Cagayan de Oro trying to find his place. I found it, but it was locked. And MacArthur, he actually because in the movie portrayed by Liam Neeson, he even said, "Look, we can't continue to fortify the defense of Busan. We need to go and cut off their supply line." So that's where MacArthur said, "Okay, we're gonna go fly in." And yeah, inside the Korean War Museum, but I don't know if it's there anymore. There used to be a little car ride where we follow MacArthur in a battle, where we're gonna get to go see, the attack in Incheon and all that. So just wanted to add a little bit of history to this. But yeah, he didn't believe like we can't continue staying here. We need to cut off the supply line of North Korea and China. So let's continue.
But there's always the common hero though in every country. Like he is for sure a hero. Like for the Philippines, Jose Rizal, he was actually during the Spanish colonization era. Well, he was from a very well-educated family, so he knew how to speak in Spanish, and he
원패수에 있다는 분?
Yeah. And then he wrote a book. He wrote like this book called 널림이 당해래. Don't Touch Me Not.
꽃 이름 같다.
It's a novel. 꽃 이름이야.
그치?
I read it. 무조건 읽어야 돼, 필리핀에서. He wrote several books. 널림이 당해래 and also El Filibusterismo. 이것도 다른 책인데. It's all about, it shows like the role of Spanish people in the Philippines. Each character really represents something. Like the chief, like the hardworking one. 그래서 진짜 amazing book.
Wow.
Even if you don't know the Philippine history, 그건 진짜 amazing book. Because you're learning Tagalog now. Maybe you should read the...
It's in Tagalog entirely?
원래 원본 Spanish, but then it was translated to Tagalog. But there's also an English one, but then there is simplified Tagalog book of that.
Version.
But I read it in English. So in our generation, we're very, very lucky because getting the global interest.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Korea boom.
Yeah.
So for
True.
my dad, actually, this is very, very, very shocking.
Yeah.
Because until when he was my age, nobody knew Korea.
Yeah.
아쉬운 점은 근데 because of how fast Korea like developed and how big the interest towards Korea is from other countries, sometimes like that.
I can refer because I came here in the 80s on a trip with my family, and I was like a little kid back then. In the 80s, woo, I know two different Koreas. It was a developing country at the time in the 80s compared to what it is today. It's crazy amazing now because back in the 80s, for example, you wanted to eat McDonald's, you had to go to the 63 Tower, which was the biggest building at the time. And that's the only time I remember having McDonald's. But yeah, and everything was in Koreans. And then now I come in, I'm like, holy moly, they cater. They got everything in English and Korean. So yeah, I've seen two different Koreas.
People forget about it.
Yeah, people forget about, or people are not so interested in the history aspect.
Yeah. That's really true.
It's more like what is on the surface, which is like K-pop drama, which is still good because the reason why K-pop was a success, the reason why Korean drama is a success is because of this whole Korean history.
And the boom here.
I believe like those K-pop artists and those K-media that everyone sees, it's kind of like a microcosm of the whole Korean history. Like it really shows the whole Korean personality. That's why if you want to know deeper, the macro of that, it's the Korean history. And then everything will resonate with you even more. I really recommend you guys to come here. Because it's 너무 잘 해놨어.
Yep, I'm inside.
So like a family just passed by us. The parents were telling the kids, "See, maybe in this video you can see our grandpa." That's how like I think our generation is taught like that.
Yeah, we're educated so like it's relatable.
Yeah.
Like we can feel it.
Alright guys, so that was the end of our tour. And also this coming June 12th, it's the Philippine Independence Day.
Wow. So it's like a really good coincidence.
That's another day to commemorate.
I hope you guys really had some lesson from what we are saying, what we are watching, and what we just looked around.
Yeah. Let's always be thankful for what we've got today. And let's always appreciate the sacrifice of our elder countrymen. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to Jessica Lee. And I've been to this museum quite a few times. As she said, it's in Yongsan. So, and then of course, Itaewon is nearby that museum because I pass by that museum every time I go to Itaewon. So, yeah, I recommend to you guys go check it out. And here's the thing: it's free. And sometimes you're going to need a whole day because there's so much to see at that museum. You go from downstairs, you go through level 1, level 2, and then you finally arrive at level 3. So it could be an all-day affair if you're the type to sit there and read every little post or everything. It could take the whole day to go, or maybe if you speed through it, maybe half the day. So it's quite, a lot of knowledge, history. You tend to find things you're like, holy moly, didn't know, And I was like, okay. But, and sometimes I do go back because I like, I forgot about this. I learned something new about, something that happened in Korea. So, yeah. All right. So if any of you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKL special help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe. And I'll see you in my next video.